The big room was quiet. Lots of aliens sat at their stations, looking at screens full of stars and numbers. This was the main control center of the Galactic Council. They watched over all the space around them. High Counselor Todd 1 walked into the room. He was tall and had blue skin. His 4 eyes blinked as he looked around. "Any news today?" he asked in a deep voice. "No, sir," said one of the workers. "All is quiet." Tay 1 nodded. He liked quiet days. They meant peace in the galaxy. He sat down in his big chair and started to read some reports. Suddenly, a loud beep filled the room. Everyone looked up. "Sir," shouted a young alien named Unji. Her antennae were straight up, showing she was excited. "I see something strange on the long-range scanners." Tay 1 stood up quickly. "What is it?" he asked, walking over to Unji's screen. Unji pointed at a blinking dot on her screen. "It's a ship, sir. But it's huge, and it's like nothing we've ever seen before." The room got very quiet. Then everyone started talking at once. "Quiet," Todd 1 shouted. Everyone stopped talking. "Unji, tell me more about this ship." Unji typed on her keyboard. More information appeared on her screen. "It's moving fast, sir. Faster than our best ships. And it's headed right for our space." Tay 1 frowned. This was not good. "Is it a warship?" he asked. Unji looked closely at her screen. I think so, sir. It's shaped like a weapon, long and pointy at the front." Tay 1 turned to another worker. "Send a message to all our ships. Tell them to get ready. We might have a fight coming." The worker nodded and started sending messages. Tay 1 looked back at the big screen in the front of the room. The strange ship was there now. It was black and shiny. It looked sharp and dangerous. "Have we seen any ships like this before?" Ta 1 asked. An old alien with gray skin spoke up. "No, sir. This is new. It must be from a species we haven't met yet." Tay 1 nodded slowly. "A new species," he said quietly. "And they've sent a warship as their first hello. That's not a good sign." He turned to Unji again. "Can you tell how strong their ship is?" Unji shook her head. "No, sir. Our scanners can't see inside it. But it's big. Really big. Bigger than our biggest ship." Tay 1 felt worried. He didn't like not knowing things, and he didn't like that this new species had such a big ship. "Okay," he said loudly. "Here's what we'll do. Send out our best ships to meet them. Tell them to be careful. We don't want to fight if we can avoid it." Workers all around the room started sending messages and pressing buttons. Tai 1 watched the big screen. He could see little dots moving towards the big ship. Those dots were his fleet. He hoped they would be strong enough. "Sir," Unji said suddenly, "the ship is slowing down. I think they've seen us." Tai 1 nodded. "Good. Maybe they'll be friendly. But let's be ready, just in case." He turned to look at everyone in the room. "This is a big day," he said. "We're about to meet a new species. Let's hope they come in peace. But if they don't..." He paused and looked serious. "If they don't, we'll show them that the Galactic Council is strong. We protect our space." Everyone in the room nodded. They looked scared, but ready. Tay 1 looked back at the screen. The strange ship was getting closer. Soon, they would know if these new aliens were friends or enemies. He took a deep breath. "Okay, everyone. Let's get ready to say hello to our new neighbors. And let's hope they're here to make friends, not war." The room was tense. Everyone watched the screen. The big, strange ship got closer and closer. What would happen next? Only time would tell. The big human warship, named Thunderbolt, floated in space. It was shiny and black. Captain Jiho stood on the bridge, looking at the stars. He was tall for a human, with short black hair and kind eyes. "Captain," said his second-in-command, "we've entered a new area of space. There are ships coming towards us." Jiho nodded. Thank you, Min Seo. Let's try to talk to them. We come in peace after all. Min Seo pressed some buttons, ready to send a message. Sir. Jai-Ho cleared his throat. This is Captain Jai-Ho of the Earth ship Thunderbolt. We come in peace and wish to talk. The message went out into space. Everyone on the bridge waited. Meanwhile, on the alien ships, there was a lot of noise. Commander Sungmin, a green-skinned alien with 3 arms, was shouting orders. Get ready for anything, he yelled. That ship is huge. They must be trying to scare us. An alien named Yuna spoke up. Sir, they're sending us a message. Should I play it? Sungmin nodded. Yes, let's hear what they have to say. Captain Jai-Ho's voice filled the alien ship. The aliens looked at each other, confused. What language is that? Asked Sungmin. Yuna typed on her computer. The computer says it's called English. Sir, it's translating now. They listened to the message again, this time understanding the words. Sungmin laughed. They come in peace. With a ship that big, they must think we're stupid. Back on the Thunderbolt, Jai-Ho was getting worried. Why aren't they answering? He asked. Just then, a voice came through their speakers. It was Commander Sungmin. This is Commander Sungmin of the Galactic Council. Why have you entered our space without permission? Jai-Ho looked surprised. We didn't know this space belonged to anyone. We're explorers from Earth. We're looking to meet new people and learn about the galaxy. Sungmin's voice sounded angry. Explorers. With a warship? Do you think we're fools? Jai-Ho tried to stay calm. This isn't just a warship. It's our home and our science lab too. We come from very far away. On his ship, Sungmin turned to his crew. They're lying, he said. No one builds a ship that big just for exploring. They must want to attack us. Yuna looked worried. But sir, what if they're telling the truth? Maybe their species just builds big ships. Sungmin shook his head. No, it's a trick. Get our weapons ready, just in case. Back on the Thunderbolt, Jai-Ho was trying to think of what to say next. He turned to Min Seo. Any ideas? They seem scared of us. Min Seo thought for a moment. Maybe we could show them some of our science projects, to prove we're really here to learn. Jai-Ho nodded. Good idea. He pressed a button to talk to the aliens again. Commander Sungmin, we want to show you we're friendly. Can we send you some information about our science work? There was a long pause. Then Sungmin's voice came back. Fine. Send it. But no tricks. Jai-Ho smiled. No tricks, I promise. He nodded to Min Seo, who started sending data to the alien ships. On the alien ship, Yuna looked at the information coming in. Her eyes got big. Sir, she said to Sungmin, this is amazing. Look at all this science. Sungmin looked at the screen. He frowned. The science was very advanced. Maybe even more advanced than their own. It could be fake, he said, but he didn't sound sure anymore. Jai-Ho's voice came again. We'd love to meet with you in person, to talk and share ideas. What do you think? Sungmin didn't know what to do. These humans seemed friendly. But their ship was so big and powerful. What if it was all a trick? He looked at his crew. They seemed excited about the idea of meeting the humans, but he still felt scared. What should I do? He thought. Are they really friendly? Or is this the start of a war? Sungmin took a deep breath. He had to make a decision. The whole galaxy might depend on what he did next. Commander Sungmin stood on his ship, thinking hard. The humans seemed nice, but their ship was so big. It scared him. He had to protect his people. Yuna, he said, tell the humans we need to talk to our leaders first. Yuna nodded and sent the message. On the Thunderbolt, Captain Jai-Ho got the message. He sighed. They're still scared of us, Min Seo, he said. Min Seo nodded. Maybe we should move our ship back a bit, to show we're not a threat. Good idea, said Jai-Ho. He told the pilot to move the ship away slowly. Back on the alien planet, High Counselor Taiwan was in a big meeting. All the important aliens were there. These humans are dangerous, shouted one alien. We should attack now. No, said another. They might be friendly. We should talk more. Taiwan listened to everyone. Then he stood up. We will give them one chance, he said. They must leave our space now, or we will attack. Everyone agreed. Taiwan sent the message to Commander Sungmin. On his ship, Sungmin got the message. He didn't like it, but he had to follow orders. Yuna, he said, tell the humans they have 1 hour to leave our space. If they don't, we'll attack. Yuna looked sad, but she sent the message. On the Thunderbolt, Jai-Ho got the ultimatum. He was shocked. But we just got here, he said. We haven't done anything wrong. Min Seo looked worried. What should we do, Captain? Jai-Ho thought hard. He didn't want to leave, but he also didn't want to fight. Let's try to explain one more time, he said. He pressed the button to talk to the aliens. Commander Sungmin, he said, please listen. We don't want to fight. We're not here to hurt anyone. We just want to learn and make friends. Sungmin's voice came back. It doesn't matter what you say. Those are our orders. Leave now, or we'll attack. Jai-Ho frowned. This was not going well. Meanwhile, on the alien ships, not everyone agreed with the plan. Sir, said Yuna to Sungmin, maybe we should give them more time. They seem nice. Orders are orders, said Sungmin. But he didn't sound happy about it. Another alien, named Junho, spoke up. Their ship is so big. What if we can't beat them? Sungmin looked angry. Are you scared? He asked. Junho nodded. Yes, I am. Aren't you? Sungmin didn't answer. Deep down, he was scared too. Back on the Thunderbolt, Jai-Ho was trying to think of a plan. Min Seo, he said, can we send them more information? Maybe if they understand us better, they won't be so scared. Min Seo shook her head. I don't think they'll listen now, Captain. They've made up their minds. Jai-Ho knew she was right. He had to make a big decision. If we leave, he said, we might never get another chance to meet them. But if we stay, we might start a war. He looked out at the stars. He thought about his crew, about Earth, and about all the aliens watching them. What's the right thing to do? He wondered. The clock was ticking. They only had 30 minutes left to decide. On the alien ships, Sungmin was getting ready for a fight. He didn't want to attack, but he had his orders. Get all weapons ready, he told his crew. If they're still here in 30 minutes, we attack. The crew worked fast, but they looked worried. No one wanted to start a war. Yuna looked at her screen. The Thunderbolt hadn't moved. Why aren't they leaving? She thought. Don't they know we'll attack? The minutes ticked by. Everyone on both sides was nervous. What would happen when time ran out? Jai-Ho stood on his ship, watching the alien fleet. He had to make a choice. Stay and risk war, or leave and lose this chance forever. He took a deep breath. It was time to decide. The big clock on Commander Sungmin's ship showed only 5 minutes left. The human ship Thunderbolt still hadn't moved. Everyone was very nervous. On Sungmin's ship, a young alien named Dahyun sat at the weapons controls. His hands were shaking. He had never been in a real fight before. What if I make a mistake? Dahyun thought. He looked at the big human ship on his screen. It scared him. Commander Sungmin walked around the ship. He checked that everyone was ready. When he got to Dahyun, he saw how scared the young alien looked. Be brave, Sungmin said. Remember your training. Dahyun nodded, but he still felt scared. On the Thunderbolt, Captain Jai-Ho made his decision. He pressed the button to talk to his crew. Listen, everyone, he said. We're not leaving. We came here to make friends, and that's what we'll try to do. But be ready. They might attack us. The crew all nodded. They trusted their captain. Jeho turned to Minseo. "Send them one last message," he said. "Tell them we want peace, but we won't run away." Minseo sent the message. On the alien ships, Yuna got it. She told Commander Sungmin what it said. Sungmin shook his head. "They had their chance," he said, but he didn't sound happy. The clock reached 0. Time was up. For a moment, everything was quiet. Both sides waited to see what would happen. Then suddenly, a bright light shot out from the alien ships. It hit the Thunderbolt. Everyone was surprised. Commander Sungmin turned to see who had fired. It was Da-hyun. The young alien looked shocked. I didn't mean to," he said. "My hand slipped." On the Thunderbolt, alarms were ringing, but nothing was broken. "Shields holding, Captain," said Minseo. "That blast wasn't very strong." Jeho nodded. He pressed the button to talk to the aliens. "Please," he said, "we don't want to fight. That shot didn't hurt us. We can still talk this out." But on the alien ship, things were crazy. Everyone was shouting. "We fired first," yelled Yuna. "They'll attack us now for sure." Commander Sungmin tried to stay calm. "Everyone, get ready," he shouted. "The fight has started. We have to protect ourselves now." More alien ships started shooting at the Thunderbolt. The space around the ships lit up with bright lasers. On the Thunderbolt, Jeho saw that talking wouldn't work anymore. He had to protect his crew. "Minseo," he said, "fire a warning shot. Show them what we can do, but don't hit their ships." Minseo nodded. She pressed some buttons. A huge beam of light shot out from the Thunderbolt. It was much bigger than the alien shots. It flew between the alien ships, missing them all. The aliens were shocked. They had never seen a weapon so powerful. Commander Sungmin couldn't believe his eyes. "How?" he said quietly. "How can they be so strong?" Yuna looked at her screen. Her eyes were wide. "Sir," she said, "that shot, it was only 5% of their ship's power." Everyone on the alien ships was quiet. They realized they had made a big mistake. On the Thunderbolt, Jeho hoped the aliens would stop fighting now. He didn't want to hurt anyone. "Hold fire," he told his crew. "Let's see what they do next." The human ship just floated there, not shooting back. The aliens were confused. "Why aren't they attacking?" asked Da-hyun. "We shot first." Commander Sungmin didn't know what to think. These humans were stronger than anything he had ever seen, but they still weren't fighting back. Maybe, he thought, maybe they really do want peace. He had to make a choice: keep fighting a battle they couldn't win, or try talking again. What would happen next? The whole galaxy was watching and waiting. The space around the ships was quiet. The aliens had stopped shooting. They were too shocked by the Thunderbolt's power. On the main alien ship, Commander Sungmin was thinking hard. He turned to Yuna. "Send a message to all our ships," he said. "Tell them to hold fire." Yuna nodded and sent the message. All the alien ships stopped shooting. On the Thunderbolt, Captain Jeho saw the aliens stop. He smiled. "Good," he said. "Maybe now we can talk." But just then, a new alien ship appeared. It was bigger than the others. On its side was a symbol of the Galactic Council. Inside this new ship was High Counselor Ta-1. He had come to see the battle himself. "What's going on?" Ta-1 asked. "Why have you stopped attacking?" Commander Sungmin's face appeared on a screen. He looked worried. "Sir," he said, "the human ship, it's too powerful. We can't beat it." Ta-1 frowned. "Nonsense," he said. "We have more ships. We can win." On another alien ship, an engineer named Soo-Yun was working hard. Alarms were going off all around her. "What's wrong?" asked her helper. Soo-Yun looked scared. "That one shot from the humans," she said. "It didn't hit us, but it still damaged our systems. The energy was so strong." She typed fast on her computer. "I'm trying to keep everything working," she said, "but I don't know how long I can do it." Similar things were happening on all the alien ships. The human weapon had been so strong that it hurt their ships without even touching them. Back on the Thunderbolt, Jai-Ho was watching the new alien ship. "That must be their leader," he said to Min-Seo. Min-Seo nodded. "Should we try to talk to them?" she asked. Jai-Ho thought for a moment. "Yes," he said. "But first, let's show them one more time that we don't want to fight." He turned to his weapons officer. "Fire the stunner," he said. "Aim for the empty space near their ships." The weapons officer nodded. He pressed some buttons. Suddenly, a huge ball of light shot out from the Thunderbolt. It flew past the alien ships and then exploded. The explosion was enormous. It lit up space like a new star. All the aliens watched with their mouths open. On his ship, Tai-1 couldn't believe his eyes. What was that?" he asked. Commander Sung Min's voice came through. "Sir," he said, "our scanners say that explosion was as strong as a small sun, and the humans fired it like it was nothing." Tai-1 sat down hard in his chair. He realized that Sung Min was right. They couldn't win this fight. On the Thunderbolt, Jai-Ho waited. He hoped the aliens understood now. His ship was strong, but he still wanted peace. After a few minutes, a message came from the aliens. It was High Counselor Tai-1. "Human ship," he said. His voice sounded shaky. We would like to talk." Jai-Ho smiled. He pressed the button to answer. "We would like that too," he said. "We never wanted to fight. We came here as friends." Tai-1 was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Perhaps we judged you too quickly. We thought your big ship meant you wanted war. We were wrong." Jai-Ho nodded. "We understand," he said. "Our ship is big because we come from very far away. We need it to carry everything we need." As they talked, the alien ship slowly moved closer to the Thunderbolt, not to attack, but to look at it better. The aliens were amazed. The human ship was beautiful. It didn't look scary anymore. Now it looked exciting. On her ship, Su-Yun forgot about her broken systems for a moment. She looked at the Thunderbolt with wide eyes. "Wow," she said quietly. "I wonder what other amazing things they have on that ship." All around her, other aliens were thinking the same thing. They weren't scared now. They were curious. What would happen next? Would the humans and aliens become friends? Everyone waited to see. The space around the ships was calm now. No one was fighting. The human ship Thunderbolt floated peacefully among the alien ships. Captain Jai-Ho stood on the bridge of the Thunderbolt. He took a deep breath. "It's time," he said to Min-Seo. "Let's invite them over." Min-Seo nodded and sent a message to the aliens. "We invite High Counselor Tai-1 and Commander Sung Min to visit our ship," the message said. On his ship, Tai-1 read the message. He looked surprised. "They want us to go on their ship?" he asked. Commander Sung Min's face appeared on a screen. He looked worried. "Is it safe, sir?" he asked. Tai-1 thought for a moment. "If they wanted to hurt us, they could have done it already," he said. "Let's go." Soon, a small alien ship flew towards the Thunderbolt. It carried Tai-1, Sung Min, and a few other aliens. As they got closer, they saw how big the Thunderbolt really was. It was like a floating city. "It's huge," said Yuna, who had come along to help translate. The small ship entered a big door on the side of the Thunderbolt. It was the docking bay. As they landed, they saw many human ships and machines. The door of their ship opened. Captain Jai-Ho was waiting for them with a big smile. "Welcome to the Thunderbolt," he said. "We're happy to have you here." Tai-1 stepped forward. He tried to look brave, but his voice shook a little. "Thank you for inviting us," he said. Jai-Ho led them through the ship. The aliens looked at everything with big eyes. They saw big rooms full of plants, labs with strange machines, and windows that showed beautiful views of space. "This ship is amazing," said Sung Min. He forgot to be scared. What's it all for? Jaiho smiled. We're explorers, he said. We travel through space to learn about new places and meet new people. This ship is our home, our lab, and our classroom all in one. They walked into a big room. It had a round table in the middle. Jiho invited everyone to sit down. Now, he said, let's talk. We want to be friends. How can we make that happen? Tae-won looked at Sungmin. Then he looked at Jiho. We made a mistake, he said. We thought you came to fight. We're sorry. Jiho nodded. We understand, he said. It's okay to be careful. But it's also good to be open to new friends. As they talked, the aliens started to relax. They asked many questions about Earth and humans. Jiho and his crew answered happily. After a while, Yuna spoke up. Captain Jiho, she said, could we learn about your technology? It's so advanced. Jiho smiled. Of course, he said. We'd be happy to share our knowledge. And we'd like to learn from you too. Sungmin looked surprised. Learn from us, he asked. But your ship is so much better than ours. That may be true for some things, said Jiho. But I'm sure there's a lot we could learn from you. Every species has something special to teach. The aliens looked happy. They weren't scared anymore. Now they were excited. Tae-won stood up. Captain Jiho, he said, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I'd like to officially welcome humans to our part of space. We're sorry for the rough start. Can we start over as friends? Jiho stood too. He held out his hand to shake, a human custom. We be honored, he said. Tae-won looked at Jiho's hand. He didn't know what to do. Jiho laughed and showed him how to shake hands. Soon, everyone was laughing and talking. The room was full of happy sounds. Outside, the alien ships and the Thunderbolt floated together in space. They didn't look like enemies anymore. They looked like a family of ships, all different but all together. The story of the human warship and the aliens was changing. It wasn't a story of fear anymore. Now it was becoming a story of friendship. A week had passed since the big meeting on the Thunderbolt. The space around the alien planet was busy now. Human and alien ships flew back and forth, carrying people and things. On the planet, High Counselor Tae-won sat in his office. He looked out the window at the Thunderbolt, which floated high above. He smiled, remembering how scared he had been at first. There was a knock at the door. Come in, said Tae-won. Commander Sungmin walked in. He looked happier than he had in a long time. Sir, he said, the humans have finished setting up their embassy. They're ready for the opening ceremony. Tae-won nodded. Excellent, he said. Let's go welcome them officially. They walked to a big new building. It was shaped like a mix between an alien house and a human one. A crowd of aliens had gathered to watch. Captain Jiho stood at the front of the building with his crew. When he saw Tae-won and Sungmin, he waved. Welcome, friends, he said. We're so happy to be here. Tae-won stepped forward. He held up his hands for quiet. The crowd stopped talking. A week ago, Tae-won said, we thought these humans were our enemies. We were wrong. They have shown us kindness and wisdom. Today we welcome them as our newest allies. The crowd cheered. Aliens and humans clapped and shouted happily. After the ceremony, Jiho and Tae-won walked together in a garden. You know, said Jiho, when we first arrived, I was worried we might have to use our weapons. I'm so glad we found a peaceful way instead. Tae-won nodded. We've learned an important lesson, he said. We shouldn't judge others by how they look or how strong they are. It's better to talk and understand each other. Meanwhile, in a big room nearby, Yoon-ah and Min-seo were teaching a class. Aliens and humans sat together, learning each other's languages. Hello, said Yoon-ah in English. Hello, the class repeated. Good, said Min-seo. Then she said a word in the alien language. The class repeated it. Some aliens laughed at how the humans sounded. Some humans laughed at themselves too, but everyone was having fun. In another part of the city, Su Yun and some human engineers were working on a ship. It was a mix of alien and human technology. "If we put your engine here," said Su Yun, pointing at a diagram, "and our navigation system here, the ship will be faster and smarter than anything we've ever built." The human engineers nodded excitedly. They were learning so much from each other. Back in space, Da Hyun was on a small ship, but this time he wasn't scared. He was excited. A human teacher was showing him how to fly the ship. "You're doing great," said the teacher. "You'll be an expert pilot in no time." Dae-hyun smiled. He never thought he'd be friends with the humans he once feared. As the day ended, Captain Jiho stood on the bridge of the Thunderbolt. He looked out at the alien planet and the ships flying around. Min Seo walked up to him. "What are you thinking, Captain?" she asked. Jiho smiled. "I'm thinking about how lucky we are," he said. "We came here to explore and make friends. It was a rocky start, but look at us now. We've made not just friends, but a whole new family in the stars." Min Seo nodded. "Do you think it will always be this easy?" she asked. Jiho shook his head. "Probably not," he said. "There will be challenges, misunderstandings, maybe even arguments. But now we know that if we approach others with open minds and kind hearts, we can overcome anything." As night fell on the alien planet, lights twinkled in the cities. In space, the Thunderbolt glowed softly. It didn't look scary anymore. Now it was a symbol of friendship and new beginnings. Humans and aliens alike looked up at the stars that night. They all thought the same thing. The galaxy was a little bit smaller now, and a whole lot friendlier, and it was just the beginning of a great adventure together.